like someone said, oh, I heard XRP is a great investment.
Yeah.
And I just said, it's a piece of
Hi everyone, coming back to Coinvestasi. Today we're having Luke Jones and we're going to talk about what to expect in 2021 in crypto space. But before that, can you explain about yourself, Luke?
So my name's Luke Jones. I run a business called Fortifex. We do data aggregation in crypto. And I'm also the CFO of a crypto venture firm called Rarestone Capital.
Perfect. Okay, so what are you up to currently?
At the moment, I'm doing a lot of work for the VC firm. So this is involved with raising and launching for projects. So we've got a lot of exciting projects we're working with. And then we provide guidance to those projects in order to see that they raise enough capital, that they are effectively manned, and that they have an effective marketing and go-to-market strategy. And then we also help them with their marketing, as well as just giving them general advice on how to sort of build their project to be successful.
Okay, so you've been active in this crypto space since what?
It's been about end of 2016, so nearly 4 years.
Nearly 4 years.
Actually, for over 4 years now.
In this 4 years, like, what kind of development are you seeing in this space?
I think the big thing is that people are getting smarter. So a lot of people are, were sort of FOMOing in and doing silly things in 2017. But I think that the industry's now, I think it's still scammy, but it's scammy in a different way and to a smaller subsect. So, for example, in 2016-17, you would have, well not 16, sorry, but 17-18, you would have crypto projects that basically would raise $10 million and then have absolutely nothing. It would be the dot-com boom all over again, where people are just raising like, oh, we're going to do this, and it's all lies, and then people run away with the money or change, the title of their passport. Those things are happening, I would probably say significantly less. What you're seeing now as far as scams is it's more people releasing a random token to Uniswap.
Yes,
and then,
I saw that a lot.
Yeah, getting everybody in, and then it
Just
does its thing, and then the rug pulling. So, or you'll get a project that allows people to stake tokens on their platform, and then they'll get rewards. But then the founders will just drain all the staked assets, and then so rug pulling is now a thing. However, most of that is done on more like guerrilla type marketing, so it's all secret Telegram groups and things like that. People
like
are just FOMOing. Yeah, it's not really affecting the public as much. It's more affecting your standard crypto degenerates. And thankfully, to date, touch wood, I haven't been part of the rug pull. But I mean, and the other thing as well is just like on a small scale, people are doing things like, listing a similar token to a hyped project on Uniswap. One that's sort of doing the rounds now is bonded.finance. And then people, if you actually search for Bond, BOND, which is their token ticker on Uniswap, there's like 18 different coins. And what is happening there is that people are trying to tell people are trying to attract investors to invest in the fake bond, and then they'll end up pulling liquidity in all the tokens. And
it's not fake. We can say it's like more like imitation.
Imitation, but it's on a much smaller scale. I mean, like people might pull out, 10, 20, 50F. Still a reasonable amount of money.
Okay, so you've been working with a lot of projects across the globe, right? And you also you've seen a lot of scammy projects. Like, how do you determine that it's a legit project between the scammy projects?
That's the harder part. I mean, number one is if the team is anonymous, then it's fairly high chance it's going to be dodgy. I mean, there's reasons that you want to be anonymous on a project. So a lot of reasons that a lot of founders don't want to have their name against a project is because they don't want to become a target. So for example, if your project comes to success and they know that, Felicia is, you're the head of the project, they know exactly whose wallet to target, whose address to target, whose phone number to target to try to get your, try to get either access to your keys or access to your OTP information. So there's a reason behind that, but obviously the other reason why people don't want to stay anonymous is because they are trying to scam people and they don't want to end up in trouble. So there's a few parts of that, and we've seen with projects like, even though the story ended not so badly, but projects like SushiSwap, where you have an anonymous founder and then decides the work that he was doing was worth, I think it was $12 million, $12 to $16 million. And he wouldn't have done that if his personal profile was attached to the project. And obviously, he got conscience and he gave the money back. Yeah, he gave the money back and did all that. But a good projects to avoid if you are reasonably defensive or you don't want to be overly degenerate, are projects that don't have sort of a reasonable founding team. Sure. The team is the main indicator of success. So if you're going to have a team that has, they've been in the industry for a while, whether they've failed or succeeded in the past, for me, is less relevant. What's more relevant is that, they're still in the industry or they have some level of expertise that sort of shows they know what they're talking about. For example, like Terra Virtua, which is coming out, I think, end of this month or early next month, which is it's an NFT trading platform in VR, AR, and gaming. Yep. Now, the founders don't really have much experience in crypto. Now, that's fine, but they have a lot of experience in gaming, VR, AR, all these different things, and they've got part of the experience in the team is how to incentivize people to use systems, which is important with a system like that. So I'd look at things like that to say, okay, well, is this the right team? Whereas if you had, a guy who'd spent, 3 years at uni and then worked at McDonald's for 2 years, and he's the CEO of like XYZ coin, that for me would be a big red flag. And also that you can't just have techies, because all of these token projects, regardless of what they're doing, should be treated like businesses. And if you haven't got someone with at least some business acumen, no matter how competent the technical team, the project will fail.
So it's anonymity, like expertise, and also like the business model.
Yeah, so avoid anonymity. Look for, I guess, niche product expertise in the team.
Sure.
And then obviously, and part of that would also be, some level of business acumen.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of institutional players now in the crypto space. Recent major news, we heard that PayPal is
accepting crypto payments.
Yeah, accepting crypto payments is a big deal for the
very big deal. Very big deal.
What do you think of PayPal?
Well, the biggest issue with crypto has always been adoption and trust.
Yep.
So, getting a brand like PayPal on board, where people are going to start to actually actively, they're going to have more access than need. And a lot of people have PayPal accounts. I think they're at like 70 million or something. Yes. Probably a bit more, to be honest.
Yeah, they're big.
They're probably, I think 70 million might be an unset, might be 700. It's they've got a lot of users, and when you have people that say, already have an account with PayPal, they already trust the business, they know that it works, they know that their money's not going to go missing. That is a really, really good thing for adoption and also to attract more people into the industry.
Yeah, so we saw like Bitcoin's really hard.
Yeah, it has had a good run. I'm actually hoping that it does slow down a bit, because we don't want to see a repeat of 2017. I'd much rather have a slow, gradual rise over the next year than an insane pump and then another winter. But I think for the industry to remain, viable in the public eye, like for the non-crypto people, it needs to reduce the volatility. That the volatility factor of going from, it was 3,000 in the middle of the year, upwards of 18, 19,000. So, governments around the world are loosening their monetary policies, and we're now talking about negative interest rates, which is going to put massive pressure on inflation, which means that the dollar you hold in your wallet will purchase less and less each year. And then people are looking at alternatives like Bitcoin that aren't necessarily correlated to US dollars or Indonesian rupiah or Australian dollars or whatever. And so people are also looking at using it as a hedge like gold.
Okay. So aside from PayPal, we also heard that DBS, the biggest bank in Singapore, just launched a crypto exchange. How do you think this news will affect the crypto adoption in Southeast Asia this year?
Yeah, I personally don't think it'll do much for adoption, but what it does, it increases credibility. Banks, like any industry, are always going to look for ways to try to get as much money out of their customers as they can. Because obviously the reason why the bank is doing it is so that they can get money from their client's account, charge a 1% clip and put it into Bitcoin, and that's how it works.
But it's quite revolutionary.
I wouldn't call it revolutionary, I'd call it opportunistic. But It's. I mean, like I said, I'm probably not going to be saying it's going to be great for adoption. Like, I don't think the people that will be buying Bitcoin through, like if they're a DBS client and they haven't sort of got their own exchange elsewhere, and this is their pathway into Bitcoin, it's only going to be purely to buy and hodl or to trade it, and that doesn't really do much for adoption.
Okay, so we're approaching like year end, like it's almost like the end of 2020. Like, what do you expect in this crypto space? What will happen in this at the end of the year of 2020?
I've learned this I've learned this how to handle this stuff. Like I've been in financial services for like 10 years, or probably longer. I can't remember now. But I've been in financial services for a long time, and you never win by prophesizing. You look at what's in front of you when you trade that, and you don't. And also, if I make a prediction, no one is ever going to be happy with it. So but if you're going on gut feel, and this isn't advice, either we're going to have a crazy pump and everything's going to go up, or we're going to have a small pump now and a bigger one in January. But that's my gut feeling. I think that we're probably going to see a bit of a pump because there's a lot of positive media. Now, the only thing that is going to see it get into a 2018 style pump, which is dangerous, is going to be if the public gets back involved. And I don't know about you, but I've been getting messages from people I haven't spoken to in a year or longer asking about getting into whatever. Like someone said, I heard XRP is a great investment, and I just said it's a piece of shit. There's more interesting projects that are doing, I'd probably say, better decentralized payments like AMP, which used to be called Flexer. What AMP is trying to do is basically a big blockchain network in between the user, so as in me with the credit card, and then the vendor at the end, and cutting out all that sort of corporate bloat in the middle. And the blockchain basically handles the collateral and all that kind of stuff, and the way the network works. You can go to their website, but projects like that are actually exciting because it's like, okay, let's have a look at an industry that has not been shaken up in 30 years, probably longer. But
so it's fresh ideas, like fresh.
Yeah, and in general, they've innovated. Obviously, we're no longer using signatures anymore, and they're no longer doing the click-clack machine anymore for credit cards. But there would still be services and parts of that business that probably haven't really been sort of looked at for 20 years, or even the way the business is structured. So I think something like, that's why I like that. It's sort of like, okay, it's a lofty goal, right? It's a really lofty business that it's going to be Visa, MasterCard, and then number one is going to be AMP. That's fairly big.
So let's talk about 2021. What's next in 2021? We see like DeFi has run quite well in 2020. Do you think like DeFi will still take place in 2021?
Yeah, I think DeFi will definitely still be a big part of 2021. I think there's obviously been the DeFi mini bubble that we had a little while ago that sort of burst in September. I wouldn't actually really even call that much of a bubble, but I think that the practical applications of DeFi have not yet been fully explored. Like there's a number of different things that people can look at, insurance. There's only really one insurance provider. I think there might be two now, but the main one is still Nexus Mutual. But then there's a number of other projects that are sort of coming out that are sort of trying to compete in that space. And that's actually going to be quite important for the future of DeFi because it's not necessarily about whether there'll be claims against these insurance companies when DeFi projects fail, but it's going to give an added level of safety for people to say, okay, I can stake my coins here because I know that they've got coverage. And then by getting coverage, it means that the business would have had to go through a number of checks on behalf of, say, Nexus Mutual or Title Finance or whatever insurance provider. And it means that, okay, well, enough people have sort of picked this thing apart and they're going to know way better than me whether or not this thing's going to blow up or not. Now, as a business, it can still blow up, but at least you know that you're not going to get the rug pulled. And if you put $100,000 into something that, even if the thing goes tits up, you're going to be able to at least pull your 100 grand back, even if you lose, the tokens that you're earning. So I think that's going to be a really important part for the next little while, is that insurance play, because in order to legitimize a lot of the projects that are happening, I think yield farming started really with Compound. Compound was the first project to start allowing you to farm, and I think Aave was doing it around a similar time, but it all started with the Compound hype. Because when Compound listed, it was like, I don't know, $30 or something when it came out, and it went up to like 400. So it could be 300, don't quote me. But that's sort of where this started. So it's still quite recent. And then people worked out that if they applied a few different algorithms to this, to basically take money from Aave and send it to Comp and then send it to somewhere else and go through a chain, that they could earn these governance tokens and then sell them back and make a profit. So it's like a yield. Now, the biggest issue is that how long these governance tokens can sustain their value with that constant downside sell pressure. I don't think it's going to be too long because, if you have a look at the price of Curve, CRV, which is one of the most farmed tokens because it uses stablecoins, so it's fairly safe. If you have a look at the price of that, it's just been doing this for the past, 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so let's talk about Ethereum. Ethereum 2.0 is coming out, and what is it like next year?
It's allegedly coming out. We'll breathe a sigh of relief when it actually happens, because anyone who's been watching it, it's sort of a year overdue. Yeah, I think they were talking about it in 2017 about it, so it's been a while. But I know the most recent was sort of meant to be released in 2020. Then it was early 2021. Oh, sorry, early 2020, and then it was now it's now, and then early 2021. But at least we're seeing the wheels. Obviously now you can start staking your Ethereum to support it. But for me, and I think we talked about this before we kicked off. I'm not staking because I think there's more value elsewhere in the market to put your F. But if it happens, it's going to be really good because it will see. There's 2 parts to it, right? You've still got to have trust in the network that it's working, and I'm pretty sure that won't be a major issue. But then, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with transactions and fees.
It becomes proof of stake. It's
proof of stake, so you're not going to get high gas fees like you're currently getting. But then it also means, I guess we'll have to see what happens. I think the one big thing is that it will mean that a lot of the things that are actually quite expensive, specifically with DeFi, like executing smart contracts, interacting with smart contracts, and obviously that's what you're doing every time you buy and sell on Uniswap. Those fees will come down significantly, we hope. But yeah, gas has been incredibly volatile over the past little while anyway. I think at the moment before I came here, it was at like 150 or no, about 100 for a fast transaction. So there's this volatility swing in gas prices is just astronomical. I hope it doesn't bring more projects in. One of the biggest issues with 2017 was that there were too many projects and not enough investors. And the issue was that for a long part there was too many investors and not enough projects, and then obviously there were more and more projects. But the issue is that a lot of these projects were redundant, and you're dealing you're in a space where you want really smart people who really know what they're doing to be delivering projects, because that then instills faith in the industry. Whereas the big issue at the moment is you have a whole lot of people with no real great technical knowledge or experience in business, launching these projects just because they can. A lot of it is marketing. If you've got a good marketing team, you can make a token.
Just to get like a couple.
Just get the FOMO going, and then, and regardless of what you build, people would, people don't even really read the white paper anymore, so people will still invest.
So, personally, do you have any upcoming project in your watch list in 2021?
2021. Let's just get through 2020 first. 2021, I think, I have mentioned a few of them today. The first being AMP, which used to be called Flexer. Now that's a project that I like because the tokens, it will appreciate slowly. It's not going to be I'm not necessarily suggesting that people buy it again, but for me it's a long burn project. It's not something that's going to moon because of some hype. They've been going around for like 2 years now. And they don't do a lot of marketing. They just build their thing. They've got partners. They've got Starbucks in the States, Walmart in the States. They've got a number of big brands that can actually already use the network and have been using it. So people can actually pay using the Flexer network. And the thing is that even though it's a crypto solution, the user does not see any of that. The other one is Aleph, which is another one I mentioned. Yet again, the big thing about it is that all the token holders that are quite large are believers in the project. You haven't just got a whole bunch of dudes who got the tokens on the cheap and want to dump. It was a victim of the KuCoin hack, and that sort of set it back a bit from a price reason. But they are going to release staking soon. They're going to put a whole bunch of different things they're going to do soon, which could be good. So, but I mean, it's a project you need to read about. It's designed to be what the quote is. It's the last mile of DeFi. So it allows networks. It allows a network layer above the blockchain, which allows different chains to talk to each other. But I mean, it's really, if we're going to be talking honestly, I'd rather not worry about stuff that could potentially smash people. The only one that's mildly degenerate is Gather. That's at a ridiculously all-time low, and they've got a lot of positive things coming up over the next few months, I believe. But the only reason why I'll be buying that is because I'm just like, it can't really get any cheaper. But that would be something I wouldn't be putting my life savings into. That would be a bit of a chasing alpha kind of play. Oh, another good one, APY. APY is a good project. That's a yield farming project or robo-advisor, a robo-advisory project, like a financial robo-advisor. And you can earn tokens by buying them. You can stake USD into the platform and earn tokens, or you can provide liquidity and get tokens. But that as a project is quite good, very sharp team, and they could be very big one day. But again, who knows? It's too much.
If you happen to just give message to a lot of new players coming in, what will you give the message to the new players?
Unless it's a regulated exchange, don't trust it, with the sole exception being Uniswap. And remember that for every person that might be willing to help you in this industry, there's another 50 who want to take your money.
Okay.
So just basically be very, very careful. Always approach like anything with a certain degree of cynicism, because there are more dodgy projects and there are more things that will fail than things that will succeed. But if you actually put a bit of time and effort into looking at what you're investing in, spending time to look at who the team is, does the expertise of the team match the direction they want to take the project?
Alright, so always do your own research. That's quite a fruitful discussion. Thank you for taking your time here. Okay. Check out Luke Jones' YouTube channel called Blogsider. He gives a lot of good insights, a lot of good predictions.
Not predictions. I review a lot of projects. Some of them I've actually already mentioned today.
Yep.
But I try to give honest, non-shilling reviews of tokens. So I don't talk about how good a project is and that you should buy it. I generally will look at the team, look at the project technology, how likely it is to succeed, and then we try to work out, really get to the nuts and bolts of what this thing's about.
Sure. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe trip coming back to Australia.
Hopefully.
Hopefully we can see you again here.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions. See you in the next video. Bye.